Hello traders, Rich here and welcome to a new episode on how to analyze any chart from scratch without using any indicators, just by applying basic price action concepts and market structure 101. So let's get started, and as usual, cheers. Today we have episode number 23, which is a crypto instrument, Binance Coin, or its symbol is BNB. If you aren't familiar with the series, don't worry, I'll make sure to attach the entire playlist, which includes all the videos by order, in the description below. So enjoy it, and for those who are watching this video, let's do it. As usual, for those who already know, we start from the higher time frames, daily and weekly, which we call our rejection time frames, to know where we stand in the market. Are we overall bullish, bearish, or stuck inside a range? And of course, as price approaches the upper bound or resistance area, it can be non-horizontal or horizontal. We'll be looking for sell setups, and as price obviously approach the lower bound or support area, it can also be non-horizontal just like these two, or horizontal just like this one. We'll be looking for buy setups. So we've got three types of rejections. We've got our typical support and resistance, which is a horizontal one, where we see many failed attempts to break above or below a certain area or level. The second key rejection area is a supply or demand zone. So if we have an aggressive movement upward, this is called a demand zone. And as price approaches it again, we'll be looking for buy setups. Vice versa, if we have an explosive movement downward, that's called a supply zone. And as price approaches it again, we'll be looking for sell setups, of course, on lower time frames, because weekly and daily are our rejection time frames, and the trigger ones are the lower ones, H4, H1, or even sometimes M30. The third one is obviously a non-horizontal support and resistance. For example, I can see a very clear one now, which is this particular non-horizontal support or a trend line, right? So as price approaches it, in this particular case on BNB, we'll be looking for buy setups. So since we already drew this one, let's keep it here. And of course, we always try to find the upper bound. In our particular case, if we make an offset for it, or you simply make copy paste, we can see that this one got broken here. So let's update it. And in this particular case, we've got what? We've got a rising broadening wedge, right? So it's not a channel. The trend lines are not parallel, right? Here we go. Where is it? Sorry about this one. Let me for this one. Here we go. So not parallel, they are like this, which is a rising broadening wedge. Anyway, don't worry about the naming. Just focus on the upper bound and lower bound, which is engulfing the overall movement. So in this particular case on BNB, we've got an impulse, correction, impulse getting bigger, right? So pushing the price higher, making a higher high, and then a correction, not being able to pass the previous low. So we've got a higher low. This is when you know that we are in a bullish trend. And anyway, you don't need to compare the highs and the lows. You can just see it, right? Going upward. So a higher high on the correction. We could look for buy setups, and price then made another high. So just like we did previously, correction, looking for buy, correction, looking for buy. We're currently in a correction phase. Thus, while looking for buy setups. Now, since we don't have typical support and resistance, let's read these ones. We will go for round numbers, right? For those who don't know how to do it, it's very simple. We've covered many examples previously on the previous episodes. You can check it out. So when we don't have many failed attempts to break below or above a certain level, which we might experience when trading stocks, indices, or even crypto, right? We go for round numbers, we go for supply and demand zones, and just like we did here for trend lines. While trading Forex, you can find plenty of support and resistance because you have enough data. For now, this is all that we have, right? From here to here, doesn't really matter. It's not relevant to check these ones here as price is trading around this area. So the strongest round numbers are that the price might test is the 400, which is around this area. Here we go. And we can see that the price respected this area here, rejected it downward, and also broke it upward, retested the 400 and traded higher. And anyway, the reason why I'm highlighting the 400 is because we've got also a demand zone. So if we zoom in, we can see it better from daily if you would like. But for now, let's continue on weekly. So we've got our rally, right? Base, which is this bearish candle, which is not which is the only bearish candle inside this bullish movement. So a rally, a base, which is this red candle, and then another rally upward. So this is a demand zone. So here we go. I will not draw it as a big zone to make the chart clean. Since we already have the 400, let's keep it this way. And if you would like, you can make an offset for it around 420 or 430. Doesn't really matter as it's an entire zone, not a laser line. You know what? Let's do 25 to cover this previous red candle. Here we go, right? So the 400 is a round number, and the offset for it is to cover the previous wicks here, and anyway, to focus on the demand area. Now, if price breaks it downward, then the bears would take over from a long-term perspective, and the next support area would be where around the next round number, which is in this case the 300. Let's make it in green. Here we go. And it makes total sense. If you check previously, it was acting as a resistance, price broke it upward, it's now acting as a support area. And of course, it's an entire zone, not a laser level. So you should also treat it as a zone. So for example, like 250 or even 260. All right, so this is now covering the entire rejections here and here. So long story short, what we know is just from weekly time frame that on BNB we are overall bullish. That's how you feed the market. That's how the weekly and daily time frames are very important, because half of the work is done here. And now we just need, once we know what to look for, right? So because it's a 50-50 chance, right? So the price can either go up or down. And we want to put the odds in our favor to know that, okay, so I'm looking for a buy setup. Why? Because now the price or BNB has more probability of going upward than downward, unless, of course, if broken downward, then a movement to the 300 would be expected. But for now, as per the current market conditions, from a market structure perspective, we are overall bullish, impulse correction, and we are currently in this correction phase, looking for buy stops to catch the next impulse movement upward, which would result in a new all-time high to around 750 or even 800. And the next resistance, in case price rejects this one upward, it would be around the 700 round number. You know what? Let's draw it in green as well. Here we go. And as you can see, it's acting as the all-time high, right, previously. And the price then, since it took a while to retest it, it is now also considered as the previous all-time high, which is also, as mentioned, a supply zone, as we have an aggressive movement downward from it. Then price rejected this all-time high. So now we've got two rejections, making this all-time high even stronger. So as price trades higher, this would be a very strong zone to keep an eye on, as price can still be rejected downwards. So this is what we know just from weekly time frame, right? So now all we know is we'll zoom into lower time frames and we'll be looking for buy stops, knowing that BNB can still trade lower and lower, dive around this area before going upward. That's why we don't buy blindly, even though we are overall bullish and expecting an impulse movement, because we can't really know where the correction might end. So it can end here, it can end here, or even dive deeper before going upward, or even, as mentioned previously, it can break this support downward, and then a bearish movement, like the bearish movement would resume. So for now, I'm looking for buy stops. Let's zoom into daily. Let me make these ones appear on a daily time frame. See on H4 as well, as we might zoom in there. Now, if you don't find anything on daily, we'll zoom into H4. But when it comes to crypto, I just like the H4 time frame and above, so I rarely zoom in to H1. So here we go. Now, if you zoom in a little bit, we can see, let's do a quick market structure analysis, right? So we were overall bullish, right, after breaking this flag. So we've got an impulse and then a flag. So, sorry, in this case, it's a pennant. This is the flag. So impulse, this is that. It looks just like a flag. In this case, it's a pennant, like a symmetrical triangle. So we've got an impulse, a pennant or a big symmetric triangle from a lower time frame, another impulse movement upward. And if you were to know where the projection would be, you just throw a trend line, or you can go for the measure tool, shift and click. But I just like to go for the trend line. Here we go. Or you can even go for this one. So price range, you can draw from with this one from this to this, and then copy paste it or delete and drag and drop this particular one, right? So this is the projection of the pennant after the break upward. Anyway, let's focus on the current price on the analysis. But before we do that, as mentioned, let me go for a good practical example. So we were overall bullish, right? So this is our projection. Now we have this low. This is our last low, right? And then price formed this low here. After breaking it downward, now we have a potential shift in momentum from bullish to bearish, right? So break below this low, trade it lower. Now price formed this high, another high, and then here we go. And this is our last high. And as you can see, we've got our big impulse, a smaller impulse and flat impulse, right? And then an even smaller and flat last like swing high, if you want to call it. And this particular case, the price failed to make a lower low, instead made a higher low, which gives us an early alert that a potential reversal might happen, which is confirmed after breaking above this high. So now we are bullish. We have shifted momentum from bullish to bearish. And if we zoom in a little bit, here we go, to focus on the latest price action here, we can see that now we are bullish. After breaking below this low, we are bearish. After breaking below this high, we are bullish, and the price started to make higher highs and higher lows, right? So this is our last low now, broken downward, retest, impulse correction. So we are now overall bearish. We were bullish. After breaking below this low, now we are bearish, and the price started to make big impulse movements, pushing price lower, and small correction movements, not able to make a higher high, instead makes a lower high. A correction, impulse movement. So we are clearly overall bearish, and you don't want to buy a bearish market, right? So we are bullish from a long-term perspective, from weekly time frame, expecting this movement upward. We are in a correction phase. So we are in a bearish market, which is a correction phase on a bigger time frame. So here we go. We are now in a correction phase. Here we were in an impulse phase. Here we were in a correction phase. Here we were in an impulse phase. You've got the idea. So if you are following just this microstructure analysis, which happened previously, for now we are waiting for what? We are waiting for a new swing high to form here, and then buy on spike upwards. So just like as simple as that, just like what happened here, and what happened here, what happened here as well. Okay, so this is basically it. Now, if we want to add more tools, we can simply see that we've got this trend line here. Let's make these ones in brown, because I like to keep the red ones for our trigger. So here we go. So now we are overall bullish, and this is our brown one. I don't want to see this one on weekly. That's it. So on daily time frame, and even we can always make an offset for it, so it's like a channel. So for now, and as mentioned previously, like even if you don't see this channel here that we are overall bearish trading inside it, as mentioned previously, we are waiting for a new high to form, and then just like this high and the high that we saw previously here, and then we'll be waiting for a break above it to confirm that the buyers are finally taking over, because for now the bears are clearly like pushing. So for now, what we are waiting for, and since we have also this channel, we are waiting for a third or a new swing high to form around the upper trend line. It doesn't have to be like this, right? I'm not predicting what's going to happen. This is just like what I would like to see, so that the rules as per my trading plan would be met. So waiting for a new high to form around this area, and then we can buy on a spike upward. For now, until the buyers take over by breaking above the last high, which is not formed yet. For now, this is our last high, right? Meanwhile, until this happens, until the buyers kick in, BNB would be overall bearish and can still trade lower and lower. And if BNB breaks below the 400, then we might say that the bears are still pushing, they are still in control, and a movement to the 300 would be expected. where we'll be looking for new buy setups to form. So for now, this is what we are waiting for. And even if we zoom into H4, you know what? Let me zoom in. So appearing on lower time frames, I don't want to see these ones on lower time frames. This is how you keep your chart as clean as possible. If you zoom into H4 time frame now, here we go. Right, so we are overall bearish, of course, like you make it touch these ones and so on. So we can see that we can draw this trend line now. Let's make it an orange. So here we go. So for now, if price forms a new swing high and then breaks it upward, we can know that the bulls are starting to take over from a medium-term perspective. So just like this, it can just be a correction, right? So here we go. So because we are overall bearish from a long-term perspective, so a break above the high, just like these ones, doesn't signal a full reversal. It just signals that the buyers are kicking in, trying to trade higher. However, for them to take full control, we need to see a break from a higher time frame, from daily time frame, above the last high. Okay, so if this happens, then simply it means a correction, and you might also see this one. However, when this is formed, then and only then we can say that, okay, this is our last high. Here we go, which is this one that we are waiting for. And then we can buy on spike upward, because now the BNB broke above the structure, the entire structure, and it's not just still inside it. Okay, it's very, very important to know where you currently stand in the market, which is why we always start from the higher time frames. Because if you didn't see this, right, and you buy here, you're expecting a bullish reversal from here, a total shift in momentum, you would be wrong, right? Just like here, if you just entered a buy and you didn't see that now we are still overall bearish. Okay, this is how important it is to feel the market, to know where you are exactly now. Okay, so this is it. If the buyers break upward, it doesn't mean that they are in full control just yet. We'll be waiting for a break also above the upper bound of the overall movement, which is engulfing the overall movement downward. Meanwhile, until this happens, until the buyers take over, as mentioned before, we can still trade lower and maybe form a new swing here and then breaks it upward, or break the 400 downward. We can't really know for now. Trading is reactive and not predictive, but for now, as with the current market conditions, this is what I'm waiting for on BNB. That's it for BNB. Let me know which instrument you would like me to analyze next, or if you have any questions about crypto, forex, stocks, whatever, feel free to share it in the comment section below. And I'll see you on the next episode.